Burbach was one of 10 children. He and his sister Ann were the survivors until this past week. And we express our sympathies to you and extended family members, many nieces and nephews. Everyone in the church here has some relationship to Father Jude in their history. Some more in the past, some in their immediate present. President Steve Minnis told me right before the Mass that Father Jude was wandering, maybe in the library, maybe on the campus, when Steve said, "Father Jude, I'd like to show you the new building." And he said, "Well, one of these days." Well, you got to see another new building with the Lord in heaven. Probably a little better even than the new academic building. That's hard to put, though, because the building burns. I like to choose readings for a funeral mass that speak to the life of the person that we're burying. And I think those readings do that. The second and third readings were from Sundays after Easter, but they spoke of the love that is modeled in Christ and the shepherding that is modeled in Christ and was lived by Jude. We know the story from 1 Kings, how the prophet Elijah fled to a cave, protecting himself because he had been zealous for God. He heard a voice ask why he had come to the cave, and he said, "Out of fear, for they seek to kill him." He remained in the cave, waiting, seeking the Lord. There was a wind, an earthquake, and then a fire. The Lord was not in any of these forms, these forces. Finally, a small breeze passed by. He wrapped his face in his mantle, perhaps fearful that this was the presence of the Lord. And it was. And he listened. Father Jude was familiar with the Benedictine spirit early in his life. 3 in his extended family, namely his father and these 3 monks are their first cousins. 3 of the men had become monks in Second Abbey, Fathers Mar, Cyril, and Bernard. Each had done as Elijah had done, retreated to a quiet, safe place to form their lives for service to others. Elijah wrapped his face, each of these monks and Jude wrapped his face with the monastic hood, being humble before the Lord. Father Lucian Senecal, uncle of Father Gerard and myself, deceased, a monk of this abbey, gave a senior high school retreat in Hartington, Nebraska in 1945 and made a summer recruitment trip to the community. Father Jude said these contacts influenced him to make the choice to go to our college in the fall of 1945 rather than to Creighton, where he thought he was going. Father Jude said he remembered Father Lucian driving up to their home in a black Buick coupe, all shining. That must have seemed promising to a young man. I heard that story when I went to Hartington to celebrate with him his 50th anniversary. In 2003. However, Father Jude came to our monastery eager to learn and to serve, to recognize Benedictine life as a way, symbolically, of retiring to a cave, yet remaining very much in contact with others, standing humbly near the Lord, being the gentle breeze and quiet voice, seeking to be the loving shepherd Christ had modeled. Father Jude was a community-minded man. He did not seek the grand things, but enjoyed and shared in the simpler things of life. He could master the difficult tasks, such as gaining a master's degree in library science and learning Portuguese, in order to spend 8 significant years with the people of Brazil. He paid attention to needs of individuals and of groups, be that in a monastery, in a parish, in a school, within his natural family. He was particularly pleased to help the Onega parishioners build an addition to their church. I keep a file of notes and things that people and letters that I write to and from individual monks. And I have many handwritten notes from Father Jude that he wrote to me in my years as abbot since 1994. Almost every note had these 2 words that I named others: thank you. Thank you for the homily you gave for Father Bernard Gervais. I miss him. As I was next to him in choir for a year or 2. You assigned me to Onega, along with Lillis and Blaine. It was a challenge, but I found it an opportunity for growth. The addition to St. Vincent Church in Onega will be 10 years old in December, whatever year that was. Thank you for the home pages, the newsletter I write monthly. With my diminished hearing, the home pages help me know things I would not be aware of. By the way, happy feast day. I was assistant to Father Anthony at 2nd Division here in Atchison before my promotion to be pastor at Purcell, so that Father Otho could be a missionary to Brazil. My vacation trip to Blue Cloud Abbey in Marvin, South Dakota was educational and enjoyable. I stayed 2 nights. Eastern South Dakota is beautiful with many glaciated lakes. I visited relatives, some of whom are in care homes or assisted living. There's a nice sense of his seeing what's around him, enjoying the people that he shares life with, and recording that in simple ways and sharing it simply. Father Jude was one whose life reflected the discovery that Elijah had, that God is present in the gentle breeze, the small wind of everyday life, appreciated and valued. He took pride in his various apostolic assignments, and people came to know God through Father Jude's gentle voice and gentle manner. They didn't sense him as a powerful preacher, but a man of wisdom and advice and presence. They didn't sense him to be a man who sought to correct them, but one who would love them in their strength and in their weakness. He wasn't one who had all the answers, but he would help people find those answers. That made him a good librarian and a good pastor. A man of books he was. Not 6 weeks ago he came to my office with a paperback book entitled Light on Aging and Dying. I am sure he had no sense that it would have such earlier relevance as it did have. He picked it up at a book sale, probably for a little bit of money, and thought I might like to look it over or have others look at it. These 3 items were among those marked in pencil, perhaps by Father Jude, and I presume so. A long life may not be good enough, but a good life is long enough. Benjamin Franklin. No man need fear death, because the ultimate tragedy of life is not death. The ultimate tragedy of life is not having lived fully when one is alive. Norman Cousins. Albert Schweitzer said, I have no intention of dying as long as I can do things. And if I do things, there's no need to die. So, I will live a long time. St. Benedict wanted monks to be humble. Father Jude was humble. He served where he was asked to serve. He shared his need for community by living well and honestly. He chose to be concerned about others more than about himself. We might say he was a celebrant of sacrament, a celebrant of light, and a celebrant of contentment. May each of us join him in such celebration.